And welcome back. Thanks again for tuning in to the Real Monica Adams Show. So greatly appreciate your support. And as I mentioned, drop in any comments on any of the platforms. If you have to rush off to work or run around and go stock up on some ice to keep yourself cool, whatever you need to do so. And then drop in comments later. I love when you do hashtag replay. Oh my gosh, Monica, I was so inspired by this or that. I have a lot of friends that have been looking forward to this interview for so many reasons. And we're going to go through all of that. But I also have two dear friends that are very connected to what my friend Marty, Dr. Martin Hogan, is going to talk about. So let's just get to it. It is so good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too. Thank you for having me.
13 years. We haven't seen each other in 13 years, which is just absolutely crazy, but have had this amazing friendship over the years. So when he landed last night, he's like, oh, it's so cool here.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah.
Is it hot in Chicago?
Same in Chicago.
Now? Yeah.
Identical.
It's
yeah.
disgusting.
The last 3 days is just walk out and just leaking right away.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not fun. Well, your Cubs are in town.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not my Cubs, but
see,
the Cubs.
So
yes.
Tell everybody where you're from.
Born and raised just outside Windsor, Ontario.
Yeah.
So right across the river from Detroit.
Yeah.
So that was the nearest big city.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would cross the border all the time. Tigers games, Pistons, Lions, Red Wings, Michigan football, all that stuff. So yeah, I grew up a Detroit fan. So there's been ebbs and flows as far as how good the teams are, but yeah. So I'm a pseudo Cubs fan right now. Pseudo Blackhawks. I did. Yeah, Whitney, my wife's from there.
Yeah.
Our kids were born there, and so that's what they see and go to. So I'm kind of a Chicago fan now too.
Well, so the Cubs are in town. If you're going to the game, as I mentioned, I don't know. I could not go and watch.
No.
Okay, good. I was like,
No.
is it me? Or, I mean, I do want people to have support for the players when they're out there, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, can't you just reschedule? This is disgusting.
Yeah, 100 degrees. No, thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, if you're just tuning in, again, we're going to talk about a lot of hope, a lot of inspiration. We're going to laugh together. We're going to educate together. If we tear up together, as I always mention, that's okay. I need you all to understand the importance of showing emotion because that's our lives, and we have to take that out and not bottle it. So we're going to go back to how he and I met. It's 13 years ago. You were in Cabo. I was in Cabo. And you all know that, those of you that know me, love Grand Solmar. You had a friend who that was his resort that he had for his timeshare, right?
Yeah. So I was hanging out with my best buddy, Rick, who recently passed away, actually.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
It's only been
you.
a handful of months, right?
Yeah, in February.
Yeah.
February.
What did he pass from?
Unknown right now.
Okay.
Yeah, unknown right now. So yeah, that's where.
Look at these two young kids. We've got a picture of us. It was a phenomenal time. Actually, I think we were, for those of you who have been to Cabo, I don't think it's there anymore, but we went to Senior Suites. And it again, the marina, etc. So Zach's got a picture of that for me. If you can find that, I put that in late last night. It all the way up. Oh, you don't? Okay, never mind. Didn't know. Thank you for that. Anyway, so we're in Cabo and then have remained friends again for 13 years, stayed in touch. And one of the things I want you all to understand is the way that faith plays in, the way that faith and fate. So we met and stayed in contact for several months. And it's so interesting because you all know that Jim and I were apart for 11 years and he came back into my life. And the way fate and faith played into the role of this is that when did you and Whitney meet?
We met, putting me on the spot here. I don't know. 2014,
14?
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just so crazy, right? Like some people you meet and you just remain in touch, and sometimes it might be months, years in between, and it's a text at Christmas or it's a text on your birthday or whatever, and as my life has gone on and I've had more experiences, I feel like it's just always very interesting. I say to Whitney all the time, like, I get random texts from people at the most interesting times. And I feel like there's a higher power that brings that all in, right? So, there's people that I've only seen once or twice in my life.
Yep.
and you keep in touch, and it might be years in between a text, and then you pick up and catch up real quick. And I'll tell a story later about like the most important text I've ever gotten in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. So yeah, there's just a lot of I feel like there's a higher power that helps people out when they're in need.
It is. And for all of you that, this is the life coaching side of me that will come out. There are many people that say, well, I don't understand why this happened. We'll talk about whys. I don't understand why these friends went away. You have to trust. I was just talking to some of the members here at Adventure Unknown about today's show. And I was like, you have to trust the path that God puts before us, and that he ultimately knows the story of how things should play out. So I remember when you met Whitney, and then we were talking about them getting married, and then that they were going to have a child. And I'm going to read this because I don't think Whitney ever saw it. I looked and it doesn't show that it was ever read. So I reached out to her on Facebook, but I don't think she ever saw it. So it's a message that now you can go back home and say, oh my gosh, go look for this. So in mid-October, a letter I sent in 2016 to his wife. Good morning, Whitney. I'm so glad I found you on here. I was trying to friend request you, but there wasn't a tab. Marty told me about the horrible news. Jim and I want to send a care package. I know he's in the hospital right now. Which one? I had tears as I went to sleep last night. I cannot believe how your world has been flipped upside down. I told him to let us know what we can do from St. Louis, or if he just needs good friends to come visit. I just can't believe this. I couldn't sleep because it just tore me up inside after that. Finding you, starting your first year of marriage, that you've both been faced with this news that we're going to tell you about. I spent some extra time praying for both of you, his family, your baby on the way. On that note, I'm so thrilled for both of you, right? The highs of highs, the lows of lows. Do you know what you're having, or will that be a surprise in February? God bless you both. I'm here for anything you may need. Marty's a dear friend of mine. Please pass along to him that Justine, Trudy, Angela, that we met in Cabo, are also praying. I told him I would keep checking in to see how the treatments are coming along. Please know you have tons of support from all over. So that was written back in 2016. You got the devastating news in such an interesting time of what was playing out that day. So take us there.
Yeah. So to give like a quick timeline. So we were married in January. We bought our first home in June. And then we found out right after that we were pregnant with our first child. And so we didn't know if it was going to be a boy or girl. We're going to keep it a surprise. And so we had all these amazing things, right? Married in January, bought our first house in June. We're having a baby, get through the summer. Summer's always busy, right? Everything, a lot of weddings, and friends were in the same kind of timeline as us, and racing around in the summer doing different things. And come to September. And so I'm usually a pretty high energy person. Can't sit still, don't sleep as much as I should, always just doing something. And so we had a couple things going on over the course of a few weekends. Best friends getting married, Whitney's sister got married. And I remember it was a Sunday afternoon, and I'd gone down the basement, went on the stationary bike. She was 4 months pregnant. And so we're going to all these weddings, and I'm like, I have a DD, right? Like I'm going to have a few drinks. And so Sunday came, and I'm like, I need to get on the bike, get a sweat on, get ready for the work week. And looking back, there's so many things in the days and weeks leading up to the phone call that looking back, it's like, oh my gosh, that was a sign that something wasn't right.
That's what I wanted to know.
And so she said that I remember doing it. I laid down on the floor in our family room, and at the time, no kids yet. We had our dog Freddie, and I just cashed out on the floor, slept. And she's like, "Oh, he's asleep. No worries, take a nap." And looking back, she's like, "That was so weird because I've never seen you nap ever." So she was traveling for work, and she was heading to New York, and so she kept saying, "You know what? Why don't you don't look and feel right. Like, I feel like something's wrong. Can you please just go see your doctor?" And I work at a medical center in Chicago. And so my PCP, my family doc, is in the building next door, literally. And so dropped her off at the airport on a Sunday night. And she was like, "Can you please go see Milt? Go see Milt. Have him take a look at you." and I'm fine. I'm fine. Leave me alone. I'm gonna, get some better sleep.
Men do, Marty. I'm
Yes,
fine, honey.
get some sleep. I'll be good. And she's like, do it for us, right?
Yep.
And like pats her stomach, right? And I said, okay, I promise. So that was Sunday. So Monday, I text Milt, hey, can I come and see you? He's like, yeah, what's up? I said, nothing. Everything's good.
But Whit wants me to come in.
Yeah, Whitney wants me to come in. I've kind of been dragging the last couple of weeks, but we've had a lot going on, doing what everybody does, right? The hamster wheel, Monday to Friday, weekends, busy racing around, and then get back on the hamster wheel on Monday morning, right? So I didn't think too much of it. He's like, yeah, come in the back door at lunch, right? I'm a dentist. I work in the oral health center. So patients in the morning, he's like, just pop in the back door like you normally do, like secret knock, get you in. So I did that on a Monday, and I'm kind of texting Whitney the whole time. And she was like, what's he saying? And I said, he said, I'm fine. Like I'm 10, 15 pounds overweight. I need to work less, exercise more and eat better and drop 10, 15 pounds, right? Says probably 80% of the population, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. And she goes, did he draw blood? And I said, no, he looked at me and he said, I look fine. And she's like, just ask him to draw blood. Please ask him to draw blood. So I asked him and he's like, well, if you really want to. And I said, I don't. But my pregnant wife does. And he said, okay, that's fine. One of my patients works in the blood lab. So I wander over there. Hey, how you doing? She's good. What's going on? Gets me in the back door. Have my blood drawn on Monday afternoon and see patients in the afternoon. Life is good. So I'm driving in on Tuesday morning and my pager goes off. So I callback number, Loyola, happens often. So didn't think anything of it. Called the number back and it was Milt, my family doc. And I said, Milt, what's going on? And he goes, where are you? And I said, well, I'm 5 minutes away. I'm going down 290. And he said, are you close? And I said, yeah, 5 minutes. Why? What's up? He goes, well, something with your labs was a little bit off. And I said, oh, okay. What do we need to do? He goes, well, you need to come and see me. And I said, okay. I said, lunchtime? Like our standing lunch date, right? Pop in. And he said, no, you need to come and see me right away. And at that point, like my heart's kind of up in my throat.
What do you feel at that point?
Yeah. And
because again, if you're just tuning in, by the way, let me introduce my friend Marty, Dr. Martin Hogan, again, a dentist in Chicago. And I want you always to see yourself in these stories. Maybe you're going through it. Maybe it was a dear loved one, family member, friend, etc. When you get that call and those type of words are stated to you, what goes through your mind and your heart?
Yeah. So we had a little bit of a heads up. So Tuesday morning when I got paged, I ran up to the front desk of our office and I said, hey, I have a couple patients this morning. I had an emergency meeting come up. Can you please call them? They worked at Loyola, my patients. And so I said, can you please call them, tell them I'll see them in the afternoon or I'll touch base at lunch. And the front desk said, yeah, no problem. So I go next door and go to see Milt, and there's a woman in his office, and it says hematology oncology on her jacket. And so I kind of look, and by this point, I think I have tears coming down my eyes. I said, someone needs to tell me what the F is going on. I'm like shaking.
Sure.
And they said, well, something with your labs was off, and we don't really know what it is. We don't know why. And I said, okay, please tell me what.
Yeah.
White blood cell count was super high, and your platelets were super low. And I said, what's super low for platelets? And they said, well, about 13,000. And normal range is like 150,000 to 300. And so again, my heart's up in my throat, and I'm not a physician,
right.
But I it's almost one of those like jokes, like, enough to be dangerous,
Exactly.
right? You know a little bit, and in our setting, we take care of a really unique patient population at the hospital. So we care for a lot of medically and mentally compromised patients before, during, and after cancer treatments. And so we're used to looking at labs, managing. So, we see that often. And so when he told me that, again, I'm shaking, and I said, okay, what do you think it is? And they said, well, best case scenario, it's a really rare infection. And worst case scenario, I said, yes. And they said, a blood cancer. leukemia, lymphoma, something like that. And I said, okay, what do you guys think it is? And they're like, well, we don't know. I said, if you had your last $100 and you had to place a bet on it, I said, I need you guys to be honest with me. What would you think it is? And they said, we think it's the latter. And I said, okay, what do we do? And Stephanie Tsai, the oncologist, was standing right there, and she said, well, we need to do a bone marrow biopsy. And I said, oh, okay, well, where and when do we do that? She said, 8:30 today.
And what time was that?
8:22.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
8 minutes. Here we go. And you're doing all of this without Whitney by your side. You're in that office. And because that's the thing. Sometimes people get a call and it is, you know, can you come in with your wife or whoever? But you're in there solo and receiving all this news.
And texting her play by play.
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of. And so, so as I'm receiving this news, we're in a room the size of this, and they said we need to do a bone marrow biopsy, and you know, we're going to do it in a couple minutes. And I said, I got to ask you guys a question. And they said, yeah, what's going on? I said, Whitney is 4.5 months pregnant right now. She's in New York City. Am I a huge a-hole if I don't tell her exactly what's going on? And they said, well, what do you mean? And I said, I'm picking her up at the airport tonight, Tuesday night. And I said, if I text her right now and tell her that I'm having a bone marrow biopsy, she's going to Google bone marrow biopsy.
Absolutely. WebMD.
The internet, undefeated, right?
Exactly.
And so it's going to, you punch in bone marrow biopsy and it's going to pop up blood cancer.
Sure.
Right? Test for blood. So I said, I'm going to tell her that my labs were off. We're going to do a few extra tests and can't wait to see it tonight. And I said, does that sound reasonable to you guys? And they said, we can't tell you what to do. It sounds reasonable. I said, nothing's going to change between 9 o'clock this morning and 9 o'clock tonight. Is that correct? And they said, that's right. So I said, okay. So I text Whitney, love you, having a few extra tests, busy day in clinic, see you tonight. She said, okay, sounds good, love you.
Yeah.
So I put on the gown, go for the bone marrow biopsy. I go back to clinic, see patients all day, and then went home, and I texted her parents, and they live close by, and they knew I was picking her up at the airport. And I said, hey, are you guys home? And they said, yeah, why? What's up? And I said, I'm just going to pop by real quick. And they're like, oh, okay. So I popped by their house on the way to the airport, and they're kind of standing there in the kitchen. They're like, hey, what's going on? I said, well, I need to tell you guys something. And the reason why is because I'm going to tell Whitney in about an hour, and I really don't know how it's going to go. And they said, well, what are you talking about? And I told them kind of what I just shared with you. I said, this is what my Tuesday has been like. Labs off, bone marrow biopsy. We're getting a phone call tomorrow with a result that we need to be prepared that it's probably something really bad. And I said, I'm not worried about myself. I said, I'm going to be fine. I'm worried about her, and more specifically the baby.
Her child,
And I said, she has no idea right now. And I said, all this took place in the last 10 hours. And she doesn't know. And so I said, I'm going to tell her when she gets in the car, probably when we get closer to home, because I think she's going to freak out, rightfully so. And so they were both crying. They gave me a hug, and they said, okay, if you need to come straight here after you pick her up, that's fine. Keep us posted. So I picked her up at the airport, and I kind of had it, I kind of played it out in my head. Like, I'm going to get to this airport's 18, 20 minutes from our house. I'm like, I'm going to get on the way home, get to this point, and then slowly break into it. I didn't want to do it right away, because then I'm thinking, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, right? I mean, I could almost see you wanting to wait till you got back home, because to deliver that news while you're driving,
right?
I mean, there's just so many levels of this. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue this. We're also going to talk about the fact that, again, they just got married. They are in a euphoric state of getting ready to have their first child. She just had the ultrasound. All of this playing out, and then how quickly he's got to go in when he gets this news, and then what plays out from there. Again, for any of you that are just tuning in on any of our platforms, feel free to drop in any comments, any questions that you have. For those that have been there before and have received news like this, you can have empathy for him. You can say, yes, I've been there. This is what we said. that. This is how we broke it. And he's going to give you some inspiration and hope by what he and his whole family have endured and what they continue to do and how it has changed his why in his life. So again, don't go anywhere. You're watching live on The Real Monica Adams Show. This is my wonderful role model, one of my best friends.
She said, oh my gosh, you got a long life. You could probably live to be 130 or something. And I said, oh God, I hope not.
It's getting hot in here. Don't take off all your clothes.
I'm not going to take off my clothes. On the radio, Kate, going to
Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. We're gonna speak. We're not gonna spank anybody. We're gonna speak about knowing your value, and then I'm gonna.
I'm going to spank them.
If you don't know your value and you don't grab hold of how important you are, I'm gonna spank you. Folks, you never know what you're gonna get with her. Do you have one of those? Do you want one of those? I think with this stretch of hot weather that we are going to have, you're going to say yes, yes, and yes. Again, if you just move into a home and they don't have one, but you've always dreamt of having a pool, please do us a favor and support those that support us. Madonna and her team at Just Pools, we love them. And you know what? You can go in, talk to them, and say, here's the, what we have, here's what we're working with, here's what we think that we can afford, and maybe you've never even thought, like, what would it cost? Some people just in their mind think, there's no way I can do that. Above ground pools, in-ground pools, all the great things that people are looking for. That's theirs, by the way, as you drive down 55 right there off the West Outer Road in Arnold. Beautiful. Again, maybe you want the rock features, the water features, etc. Let them do it, and then you do your part and make sure that you keep that water crystal clear. They've got 10% off, again, those crystal clear elements for you, as well as all the fun games for your kiddos. 636-464-7110. All right, folks, welcome back again. If you're just tuning in to The Real Monica Adams Show, thank you so much for being a part of it live with us. If you have to run off to anything now, you can come back and watch after the break. Miranda is moderating for us. You said, I can't see on here, but you have some questions and comments that have come in. Anything that really stands out so far? And we're just getting into the story, by the way, if you're just tuning in. My dear friend, Dr. Martin Hogan, and he's telling his story. We just paused at the part of him picking his wife up at the airport and getting ready to deliver some news that they don't even know the answer yet, but they're going to get that the next morning. Miranda, anything that stands out you want to tell me about? Anything that was relating to what we're talking about? Not yet. Okay. So, all right. So we'll just a lot of good mornings. And yes, we get it. Marty came into town and flew in and said, yes, holy cow, it's hot. But so it is in Chicago, where he lives right now. So if you are just tuning in, we're talking about this story again of happiness and then leading to a deep blow that's getting ready to happen. So you pick her up. Do you decide to deliver the news as you're driving home?
I decided to do it as we were getting closer to home, and I didn't really know. I thought I knew where. The whole drive was like a blur. And like I said, 18-minute drive. I don't even know what we talked about. And then we were going down Willow Road, like 30 seconds from our home, and there's a stoplight, and it's 9:30 at night. And I kind of leaned over and tapped her on the knee, and I said, this morning I told you, some of my labs were a little bit off. And she was like, oh yeah. What are the next steps? And I said, well, we did a bone marrow biopsy this morning. She was like, oh, what's that? And I said, well, it's a more advanced invasive procedure because they think it's something really bad. And then like the light turns green and we're getting closer to home, a couple blocks from home. And I'm kind of waiting for her reaction. She's a worrywart, by nature and in the best way possible, but just worries about everyone. Is this person okay? My mom, my sister, my friend, all that. And so I said they did a bone marrow biopsy and they think it's something really bad. And she said, well, like what? And I said, well, best case scenario, it's a weird infection. And worst case scenario, and we're like pulling into the driveway at this point. Worst case scenario, I said, like a blood cancer. And she kind of looks over, and at this point we're like parked in the driveway, thank goodness. And she said, what? And I said, yeah, we don't know. And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And we kind of like get out of the car, walk around, open her door. I'm still waiting for a reaction. And she said, okay, when will we know? I said, we're going to get a call tomorrow morning. And I had taken the Wednesday off because we had our 20-week ultrasound. And so that's like the 3D ultrasound where the first time you get to like meet your kid, I guess you could say.
Right. It's come so far. It's beautiful.
So cool. Yeah. And so she gave me a hug and she said, okay, we'll figure it out tomorrow. And then we like walk into the house. I'm like still kind of waiting. And I said, okay, promise each other something that we don't go on the internet. And she said, okay, we can do that. And so again, it's kind of a blur. That was Tuesday night, wake up Wednesday morning, drive to the hospital. We had, I think, a 10 a.m. ultrasound appointment. And when we walked into the room, yeah, there's the picture there. When we walk into the room, the doctor who I had been to a few appointments throughout. And so we knew the OB-GYN physician. And so she said, oh, this is an awesome day. It's gonna be so much fun. You're gonna get to see like the face and the body. It's so cool. And I said, Dana, I need to tell you something. And I said, I know like the room, they're gonna like dim the lights and like walk you through the ultrasound. I said, if my phone buzzes, I need to step out.
Yeah.
I said, we're probably going to receive a phone call today that's not going to be good, and kind of fill her in on the last 24 hours. And she's like as white as a ghost. And she said, okay. And so we went through the ultrasound, got to meet our child. We didn't know boy or girl. We said we're going to keep it a surprise. Like how many in life, like true surprises where you have no idea what the surprise is going to be. Right. The baby, is it a boy or girl? To me anyways, that's like,
I agree,
one of the most amazing surprises in real time where you have no idea.
Good for you.
And so we said, we're going to keep it a surprise. So we see our child, and I'm like staring at my phone. And so we get in the car and we drive home, and we're kind of sort of talking whatever. And 12:22, we're at I-94 in Toohey. Chainsmokers song. They had a really popular song that year with Halsey, I think it is.
Oh, Halsey, yeah. Yep,
is that a woman who like sings one of the songs?
Yep.
That song was playing on the radio, and phone rings. Loyola. And so I look over at Whitney. I said, ready?
Here it is.
She's like, ready. Hit the button. Hi, is this Marty? Yep. Stephanie Sy. I said, hi, Stephanie. I said, Whitney's with me in the car right now. We're driving. And I said, what do we have? And there was a pause, and she said, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And I said, okay, what do we do? And she said, I'm going to call you in a couple hours. This is Wednesday at 12:22, lunchtime. And she said, I'll call you this afternoon and then need you to come and see me tomorrow morning, which would have been Thursday. And I said, okay. She said, I'm going to call in 2 prescriptions for you. Go get those and take them right away. Just take them. And I said, okay, sounds good. So hit end. Don't really know what Whitney and I talked about. Made a few phone calls that afternoon, like just a few to family. I didn't share it with friends yet. And that was Wednesday. My parents came right in. Parents were living in the Detroit area. They still do. They came in either that night or the next day. So Thursday morning, we went to see her at Loyola. Within the next 36 hours, we had second and third opinions. And then Friday morning, had an appointment at Northwestern, met with the physician. When I left Friday morning, I had my bag packed. And so we kind of knew from the previous 12 hours in meeting with Loyola and things like that, first step, regardless, which was a blessing in disguise, is that everyone was saying that the ideal would be X. And so we weren't getting 3 different opinions, if that makes sense, right? It was we think that this is the best next step, or this should be the first step. First step. It was all the same. So it came down to where do we want to be treated, which again was a blessing in disguise. And so they kept saying, you know, you have so many amazing academic medical centers in Chicago. Fortunately, you don't need to go out of state. We don't feel that you need to go out of state. Some people, if you're living in, you know, the middle of nowhere, you might have to drive a distance,
and travel,
right?
yep.
Some people rent apartments. Some people, you know, stay at housing that the hospital provides. Fortunately for us, especially given that Whitney was pregnant, we had really great options in Chicago.
Right.
So that was blessing number one. We have a ton of blessings. That was number one. So when I left Friday morning, I knew that I probably was not coming home. Just didn't know where. So we knew the what. Chemo needed to start ASAP, but didn't know where at this point. So we met with Northwestern on Friday morning. We went to Panera and we sat there. I think it was Panera. Sat there, Whitney and I, and decided where we were going to be treated. I keep saying we. But it is.
It's not a solo decision. There's and at that point, there are now 3 lives, as well as your family, your friends, everybody that is got a connection to this. But you are making decisions for the 3 of you at that point.
Sure, 100%. And so we decided to be treated at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Ironically, that's where I did my dental residency. And so I was very familiar with the hospital, as I was Loyola, because I'd worked there for years. The biggest reason for me, first of all, prognosis was not great. Biggest reason for me to be treated at Northwestern, I didn't want to die where I worked.
Wow.
And that was my 1A. My 1B was Northwestern was a little bit closer. And I knew that Whitney would probably be coming back and forth every day.
Sure.
And I knew that my initial hospital stay would be more than a month.
Yeah, you were in there how many days?
Total of 42.
42, right?
Yeah, total of 42.
Again, if you're just tuning in and you're hearing the story where we are now, you got to go back and watch the beginning, because we're playing out the comments that come on a phone call. Back then, as he was mentioning, on a pager, it's these blows that happen to you, and then how do you receive it? So you get ready to go in. Again, he's in for 42 days. What is in your mind? You already mentioned the word die. I don't want to die where I worked. So your mind was already going there? Because again, you're diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, but it is a rare form.
In people my age, yes. And so, unfortunately, A.L.L, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, is common in little kids.
Right.
Very fortunately, the pediatric population has a really, really high cure rate, and they call it like an event-free life, meaning it does not come back. And so little kids between the ages of newborn to whatever range that is, young kids, unfortunately, A.L.L is fairly common, but has an amazing success rate. Young adults, which I fell into that category, 30 to 40, I was 35 at the time, 34 at the time, prognosis is very poor. And nowadays, with all the testing and science and data and research, they have so many additional tests that they do, which can either put you in a more favorable or less favorable bucket, if you will. And so when you're talking to someone in the elevator, you know, Doug from accounting, you say, I had leukemia. You're talking to someone who kind of sort of maybe knows a little bit more, you say, I have A.L.L. If you're talking to a medical provider, especially an oncologist, I say, I have Philadelphia negative B cell A.L.L with chromosome abnormalities on chromosome, 10, 14, whatever. So it's that specific and that detailed. A lot of the genetic testing that came back for me put me in a very poor prognosis bucket. So we knew that. We learned more as we started going down the path. Different things would come up, and again, kind of put me in a less favorable bucket, prognosis-wise.
So let me ask, as you go through this, and now you're in the hospital, during that time period, What does go through it? Not in your moments when Whitney's there, not in your moments when family or friends or anybody that was able to come up and see you. And I don't know how many people were actually able to, but in your moments alone, because that is where we do our biggest learning and our biggest soul searching. What is happening? What is going through your mind as we look through some of these pictures as you go through this? What's happening to your spirit? What's happening to your mind? A lot of people that I know that have had those diagnoses have come back. Some say, why me? Others say, why not me? It depends on how we look at life. What did you say?
I probably had a couple days to try and wrap my brain around it. And so we decided at lunchtime, mid-afternoon on the Friday, that we were going to be treated at Northwestern. I was checked in at 6 p.m. that night, and I had pictures. I had a Michigan football flag and a Canadian flag and a speaker. I'm like, I'm going to be in here for over a month, and it's college football season. Like, this is going to be great, right? Not great, but yeah, I'm like, I get my own room. I was in an isolation room because you're very immunocompromised.
Sure.
It's like the little in-between room that's like airtight, that when a visitor would come, very, very limited interaction because I was very susceptible to infection. So there was a very short list, count on one hand, the number of people that could even come in the room. When they would come in, it's like you go through a double door, that door closes behind you, wash everything, gown, glove, mask. Then you go through the other double door, which brings you into my room, which was massive, and sit on the opposite side of the room, like way 20 feet away in the chair. That was my communication with my loved ones. And so I really wanted to get to February 7th. And I got checked in on September 23rd. And so we got the call on the 21st, Wednesday at 12:22. I was checked in at 6 p.m. on Friday. The weekend was a bunch of testing, PET scan, ultrasounds to different organs to see if it had spread anywhere. Because in males, places that A.L.L. can spread commonly is testicles, liver, and brain. And so did all that testing. Again, another blessing is that it did not spread.
Right.
But Saturday and Sunday were like a bunch of tests. So I'm getting wheeled all over the hospital. Someone would knock on the door. Hey, I'm here to take you to ultrasound of your liver. Sure. I'm here to take you to the PET scan. Sure. Here to take you to respiratory. Whatever. So I'm getting shipped around. At the same time, I'm putting up pictures all around my hospital room, and I'm like, going to be here for a while, seeing who Michigan plays the next 3 weekends and texting with some friends. Yeah. And I remember leaving on Friday morning. So I had my duffel bag packed, and Whitney was downstairs, and we were going to meet with the team at Northwestern, and I went upstairs and grabbed Freddie. And Freddie's our dog.
Their dog, yes.
Yeah. And so I remember having like a 2 or 3 minute conversation with Freddie about taking care of Whitney, because I wasn't sure if I was coming home. Yeah, there's Freddie. I genuinely didn't know if I was coming home. A lot of people that go into the hospital don't come out, and I knew I was going to be there for over a month. And prognosis was not great. And so at that moment in time, as weird as it might sound, I thought Freddie was going to have a chance to meet our kid, and I was not.
Wow.
And so I asked him to take care of Whitney. I knew that she was not going to sleep at the hospital. She'd be back and forth every day. And so I knew that she was going to be going home to an empty house. And was not going to be able to take care of herself during over a month of her pregnancy. And so I just asked Freddie to like be there for her. And I asked him to, if he gets a chance to meet our kid, that he would take care of our kid. And it's just weird that most people, depending on your age, you don't think that your dog is going to outlive you. And I thought that Freddie was.
How old is Freddie at that point?
Freddie's probably 2. Probably 2-ish, 2 or 3.
Do you get, because again, if you're like us, where we're so connected to our furry friends that they are like another child to us, do you get a reaction from him? I got you, Dad.
I kind of did. Yeah. As weird as that might sound for dog people, it's not weird at all.
No.
You're like, yeah, of course. Like, dog's going to take care of everything. He'll get the coffee going in the morning and he's
rock the baby.
Yeah, of course. So yeah. And once, spoiler, I'm here, I made it. But Freddie,
right.
Freddie, dogs, I feel like in general, just know. They just know if you're not feeling well, if you're not right,
They're incredible.
They know. And so I had a quick chat with Freddie. I was sobbing while I'm holding him. And then I threw some cold water on my face, walked downstairs and said to Whit, all right, let's rock and roll. Grabbed my duffel bag and we went down. So that was Friday. I got checked in the hospital. I didn't really have, to answer your question, to make a short story long. I didn't really, in those 2 days, I didn't really have a chance to think too much because I was never alone.
But during the time you're in.
During the time, my head was spinning.
Yeah.
It was spinning. And as we would learn more information, again, it kind of put me in a less favorable bucket. And Whitney all along, did not want to hear statistics. Right. The way that my brain works, and working at the hospital and helping manage a lot of patients, I did. Mm-hmm. And so there were times along the way where we'd be communicating with our medical team and I'd be like, okay, when she leaves, you can let me know.
Right.
And that was kind of our understanding. And I think the biggest takeaway from that is there's no right or wrong.
No.
It's just whatever. Yeah. It's
or
whatever,
how you want to receive.
Yeah. Whatever you're comfortable with. And so I wanted all of that. And I said to my team from day one, if we're going to do this together, I need you guys. I need you to help get me to February 7th.
Because?
Please, because that was Whitney's due date.
Yes.
I'm I promise you, I will be the most compliant patient that you have ever seen. And that's what I decided on day one. You tell me I need to put razor blades in my cereal every morning, I will do it. And I mean that. I need to get to February 7th. That was my tunnel focus.
Yep.
What do I need to do? I'm going to be the most compliant patient that you have ever seen. And that gave me a little bit of control because so many things were out of our control.
Well, and there are, and I want you all to understand that when you are, I don't care what the diagnosis is, and if any of you have gone through something like this, or you have family members or friends that have, you play a very important role in what happens with you. If you give up all hope, and this is why, fortunately, he is faith-based, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about God a little bit more, going deeper into having him help you in this chaos that happens in your mind and in your spirit and everything around. Yes, it's very easy to go into the why me, but it's also, nope, I want to get laser focused on, I need to be here. I need to be here. I need to meet my child, which again, they don't know what they're going to have at that point. And then what does life have in store for us? We're going to go to that. We're going to take a quick break. Again, if you have any comments, any questions, this inspiration that you're feeling, and as we said, spoiler alert, which is the greatest thing of all, is he's here and defying the odds. We'll talk more about that when we return.
This lady got me in the best shape of my life. I literally didn't know that I could be in shape like that. But the amount that she pours into her clients, and especially whenever you get the one-on-one training, it's mind-blowing. It was really life-changing. I learned so much about proper form, about nutrition, about just being able to invest in myself. I hired Monica to be my personal trainer, which was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
And welcome back again. A story of hope, a story of inspiration. I'm blessed that my dear friend is having me tell this story. He's told it in bits and pieces. I've seen some audio podcasts. I've seen some other people interview him. We're going to tell a funny story. We're going to do a little pause here and tell a story about an interview that you did. I'm not even going to say. I'm not going to say the network.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's just what. Why I left that field, by the way. There's a lot of reasons in this. So if you're just tuning in, Dr. Martin Hogan, my dear friend Marty, telling his story, and I'm looking at some comments, and again, if I miss some of those, we'll come back. I'll make sure that he sees what you're saying. Thank you for sharing. Crying. Dogs, no, Rose said. My Aunt Tootie said, he's an inspiration. Thank you for telling your story. Julie said, why am I crying? You made it. Well, but the tears there. Miranda, there's some comments over on Instagram. Thank you for being real and raw. Prayers to you and your family. That's over on Instagram. So yes, if you don't know, we're on multiple platforms. So Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, Rumble, LinkedIn. Feel free to drop a comment in anywhere. Rose just said, what a compassionate guy. Thinking of others and the love for your wife and dog at the time. A lot of people can't do that when they're going through so much. God bless you. God's going to come into this in a moment. So yes, he is here. Yeah, that's why I clapped. I mean, if I didn't go away from the microphone, I'd give you a standing ovation for that, because when I got the news, and again, when did I write this? So this was mid-October. And again, the date when you found out is September.
The call on the 21st, and then got checked in on September 23rd.
So did you text me, call me from the hospital? I'm trying to remember how I found
Probably
out.
a text.
I just remember getting the blow. And again,
texting
yeah.
As the time went on, initially it was, family immediately.
Right.
And then on the Thursday morning, so we got the call on the Wednesday, the Thursday morning, I made about 5 or 6 phone calls, early morning phone calls that my buddies say still, makes the hair on their back stand up, because
Sure.
I text them at 7:30 in the morning and I was like, hey, let me know if you have time for a quick phone call. And they were like, yes, call.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what's up? And
Yeah.
I told them, and again, at that time, it was a lot of unknown.
Right.
But we knew it was A.L.L.
Yeah.
And we knew I was getting checked in somewhere soon. And so I just let them know. I said, do me a favor, boys. Please let people know I can't be in charge of that right now.
Right.
Right.
Well, and this is when your family and your friends bond together, and then it becomes all of this praying. We've got this, sending love, sending healing energies. I mean, if you look back, I'm sure you've got thousands of text messages and phone calls, and everyone that's there, your friends. And by the way, so I asked him last night, what do you want us to put as your title? Because we're going to put Dr. Martin Hogan. It's crazy for me to say Martin, but because I know him as Marty, but it's, survivor is what I really wanted to put in there. But husband, these proud titles. He's like, I'm not really a title person. No, but the proud titles: husband, father, son, brother, dear friend, hockey coach. So he's got a background in hockey as well. All these levels, but that friendship, which are the friends that are like family to us, so that we have blessings of, they all came together and talk about how they knew you had this, because you have it on here, about Windsor Strong.
Windsor tough.
Windsor tough.
Yeah. So that kind of became the motto as we were going through things. And like you said, I have a background in hockey, played my whole life, born and raised just outside Windsor, played, my minor hockey, AAA, and junior hockey there. So a lot of my best buddies are through the game of hockey. So I had one buddy, my buddy Kyle, every morning he would text me a picture of the player who had the jersey number of what day it was in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
So he'd text me a picture of on, day 4, Bobby Orr. I'd get a picture of day 4, and he would be like, hey, bud, Bobby Orr today. Give it hell. I'm like, love you, bud. He's like, love you too. The next day, number 5, Ulf Samuelsson.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, he's scraping numbers out of the blue, right? So, but
Here's a rookie.
every morning, a picture with the jersey number.
Very cool.
And it was just something that made me smile. And I remember
that one, by the way, that's Steve Ott.
Yeah, that's the St. Louis Cup party. Go Blues.
So right.
Yeah,
so he has a connection here.
Yeah,
to St. Louis.
so Ott's one of my good buddies from growing up. Yeah.
So you got to celebrate with the Cup?
That was back home.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the middle of treatment. during that. And so my treatment we can talk later, lasted 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And so Otter had the cup back home. And so I'm like, I can't miss this, right? This is, once in a lifetime or twice actually, because I joined the Chicago Cup party earlier. But so, the cup party gets a little bit rowdy as the night went on. And then so people start drinking out of the cup, right? And so everyone's just, filling it up, pouring it into people's mouths. And I'm like, Otter's like, Hoagie, let's go. I'm like, let's go. My buddy's like, he's immunocompromised. He can drink out of the cup. And I'm like, screw it, boys. This is once in a lifetime. We're doing it.
It's
so
alcohol. It'll kill it.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So I'm drinking out of the cup and my buddy's like, no. I'm like, I have to. If I go, what a way to go, right? If I get an infection, I die. And it's from drinking out of the cup. That what a way to go. That'd be like one of my best ways to go. So anyway, so that was the cup party. So I would get these text messages every day, jersey number, and my buddy Kyle, throughout my initial stay, there were more than a few, but where I just wasn't sure I could keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember calling Kyle, and I had just gotten back from a test. It was in the morning, and I had like my little iPhone white little dangly headphones, right? Like not the earbuds.
Right.
I'm trying to paint a picture. And so I remember sitting in my lazy boy chair in my room, and I was connected to an IV pole 24/7. So I would go pee, I'd pull the pole in with me. I carried it around. I couldn't go further than this way. So I had my pole next to me, and I had my phone on the table in front of me with the little cords, and I put a towel over my head, and I called Kyle, and I was just sobbing. And I'm like, I don't think I can do this.
Mm.
And he's like, and so then he starts crying, and he's in Windsor, right? So we weren't FaceTiming or Skyping or whatever. It was just a phone call. He couldn't see where I was, or he knew where I was. And I said, I can't do this. And so he's crying. He's like, yes, you can, man. He's like, we got this. So then he starts telling me stories like we won a hockey championship together. And he's like, who was the first guy to give you a hug when you scored that OT winner? And I'm sobbing. He's like, who was it? I'm like, you. I was a forward. He was a D. So score an OT winner. He comes racing in from the point, grabs me. Everyone piles on. He goes, yeah, it was me. He's like, I'm here, man. We got this.
Mm-hmm.
We're good. And I'm sobbing. That only happened a couple times in that initial stay, where I was just like overwhelmed.
Sure.
And I cried every day. I still cry every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But
good for you.
There was only a couple, 2 or 3 times in that initial stay where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And so it was like those people, like you mentioned, like your friends and that would remind me
that you can.
Yeah.
So when you're saying, I don't think I can do this, what is taking over? Is it mental, physical, spiritual, everything breaking down on you?
I think mental.
Yeah.
Yeah, mental. The physical stuff is horrible. The mental is exponentially worse than that. I can't put into words. So anybody that's going through that, that is the one thing that I would say is the physical stuff is the physical stuff.
Right.
Like people that played sports or have stuff going on in their life, like you play the playoffs with a broken foot.
Right.
Yeah, you shoot it up, you put it in your skate, and you go.
Exactly.
Right. Like cortisone shots when we were growing up were just like M&Ms, right? Like shoulder surgeries after the playoffs. Shoot me up, let's go.
Yeah.
And so I used to fill my body with cortisone shots. And so the physical stuff, okay, like one of my side effects of treatment was really bad neuropathy.
Mm-hmm.
So I lost feeling in my hands, my feet, my left leg. Headaches, joint stuff going on, GI stuff going on, all of that I could manage, but it was the mental side of it where, you just aren't sure how long it's going to go, how long you can go.
Right.
And so it was reaching out to people, and sometimes it was random stuff coming in. And so I mentioned earlier, like the most significant text I've ever received was on October 8th. And so I would have been, checked in the 23rd. That was the Friday, started chemo on that Monday. So I was a couple weeks in, 2.5 weeks in. And that was the day and night where everyone says, right, you're going through treatment and like keep fighting and you can do this and fight, fighting for your life. I never really felt like I was that was the one day and night where I truly felt like I was fighting for my life. I was afraid on the 8th that if I closed my eyes, I wasn't going to wake up. That's how I felt inside. And it was like the weirdest feeling. And so Whitney would get there every day. The team would start rounding at 7 a.m. And so they check in on you every morning at 7 a.m. If you need something throughout the night, the nurses are literally just outside the hall. You can buzz them. I needed help getting from my bed to the bathroom. I had 2 nurses accompany me to the bathroom. I'm 35 years old and they have to wipe my ass.
Yep.
Sorry, I
no,
swear.
Don't sorry. Don't be sorry.
They had to wipe my behind. And they and people would say like, we need to check in on you. I'm like, no, everyone needs to leave me alone. I can't go to the bathroom without 2 people watching me.
Yeah.
I can't, I need some space. Can someone please give me some space? And so they would round every morning at 7. So Whitney wanted to be there to watch them evaluate me. There's like the little team of residents and medical students. So like the doc walks in, there's like 7 little minions following them. And, oh, can you feel this lymph node? Like it's the size of a plum. Like, oh, can I feel? So I'm a big fan of resident education,
yes.
Obviously. So I'm like, you guys want to listen? You want to feel? I'm a guinea pig. I'm up for anything. If
because
you
you're
guys,
helping the
if you
advancement
guys
of
can
medicine.
learn from me, let's do it. And so, I my lymph nodes on the back of my neck, that was the weirdest thing. Back of my neck was all like ear all the way down. They were massive. And I don't know, I forget what it looked like, but like very palpable, like big nodes. Never seen it in my life. And so the team's like, can we feel? Like, is it painful? I'm like, no, it's not painful. Push, feel, like poke on it. It looks like a little frog belly, right? I'm like, poke on that baby, like whatever you guys need to do. And so I just wanted them to be able to learn, and not that they need like a lecture on how to manage people, but I would like give them little tips and we would have heart to heart conversations and they were great. I'm like, I need all of you guys to help me get out of here. I want to get out of here. That's it.
Again, he mentioned earlier, I want to get to February. I want to get to my child, which again, they didn't know at the time. Let's go ahead and show this because I want to be able to let you know that obviously he's here and he's here to tell this story. And they have this beautiful child, one, and then they have another, and then they have another, but your very first child. And that picture is just absolutely so beautiful. The picture on the right, so many things, what he's going through mentally, physically, spiritually, and then to be able to be there. What does that picture mean to you?
So that's Clark. He's our oldest. So, the really strange, I don't know if it's strange, I don't know what word to use, is that, and again, it goes back to like blessings, right? Our kids have no idea about any of this. They are like one of the only people, they're the only people in our family and friends that don't know. There's people in our community, of course, that don't know what like my past involves, but and that's really refreshing sometimes, right? Because for some people, I'm pegged like the cancer guy,
right?
And I hate that. I strongly dislike that. But our kids don't know, and Whitney and I said all along, like at some point, hopefully, we're gonna sit them down and tell them an amazing story,
right?
But right now, they don't know, and so Clark. Like Clark, I always say he's like our like miracle baby, because there were things that took place from September 23rd until he was born, that Whitney had to see and watch and be a part of, that no one should have to do. And I'm amazed that nothing happened to him. You know, severe reactions where I was rushed to the ED and all these crazy things going on, you know, cardiac issues, or I'd wake up on the floor of my hospital room with the medical team and like the paddles out, and she's like watching all this, and how nothing happened to our child.
Well, right, because you can already feel who Marty is. He is all about everyone else, even though he knows he has to take care of himself. But here you are wanting to be in a normal life, the euphoric state of, I meet the woman of my dreams, we get married. Oh my gosh, we're having a child. I just want to have a normal life. I just want to be there. I want to be right by her. I want to take care of my wife, the mother of my child to come. And you can't, because she's now having to concentrate on you while you're probably thinking, no, we got to take care of you, right? Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be going through stress because you want to take care of a mother to be, right? But yes, so they do have a little boy. So he's 8?
Clark's 8 right now. Yep. So Clark's 8. We have Phoebe, who's 6.
Yep.
And then we have Shaw, our little guy, who is turning 4 in July.
July 15th?
Yeah, July 15th, exactly.
Clark, Phoebe, and Shaw. And look at them. Just absolutely beautiful. And so imagine that they don't know what unbelievable story their father has gone through. And I can't wait for you to tell the story, to write a book, to be in a movie, whatever your plan is, God has a plan for you. We're going to talk about the faith side. We're going to talk about 2 things. We're going to talk about faith, and we're going to talk about this network interview that he did that I'm just going to make you laugh about. And then also his charity, and then some wonderful things that all came because of purpose. A purpose-driven life is what I put in the comments today, of where your life takes you. And then you sit there and go, oh, so that's what your plan was for me. Okay, and I'll freely take this and I'll run with it. Again, Dr. Martin Hogan, my guest here on The Real Monica Adams Show. More to come.
Discover your full potential with a personalized styling experience. Designing, customizing, and transforming the looks of men and women. Revamp your individual style and embrace what makes you, you. That's real confidence.
My house is so outdated and old. Can you help?
Let's take down this wall and add a support beam there.
Or just replace the furniture.
I love it.
New sofa, chaise lounge, and tables from Carroll House.
What about this bedroom?
Let's tear down this wall.
Or a new bed, dresser, and accessories.
It's like a whole new room.
Get free in-home design, fast free delivery, and free financing too. Skip the remodel. Add new furnishings from Carroll House for your new perfect room. Because you like nice things.
And welcome back again. You're tuned in to The Real Monica Adams Show, and looking at comments as we're talking, telling the story of hope and inspiration. And again, he's here to tell the story, and that just, it sends chills through my spine, because when you were there, and you may not have heard the letter that, and I now look forward to Whitney going, oh my gosh, I never knew this was there. So she's the hardest person, by the way, to friend request on Facebook. Tell her that.
I don't think she goes on it.
Well,
maybe, I don't know.
So it's funny because
I don't have any social media.
Yeah,
so.
he has no
And I have a
social media
Hotmail
presence.
account. So
Oh, you have a
I have a
Hotmail
Hotmail
account.
and no social media.
have a
So I'm like
major-
that guy. Yeah, I'm that guy.
So I wrote
I have
his
these
wife.
phones that flip open.
Oh yeah,
and- No, I don't have.
Oh, okay, I wouldn't be surprised, because again, my interns were like, okay, where do we tag him? I'm like, he doesn't have a social media presence. Just like my husband, who, by the way, he just had a chance to meet. So shout out to Jim. He just ran by because he's like, I want to meet Marty finally after all these years. So they know of each other. They just never had a chance to meet. So I'm glad he was able to do that. Yeah. So all the comments. We We have a really fun comment that Rose just put into Facebook, and she said you could be a stand-up comedian dentist. Very descriptive storyteller, she said. So for those of you that, there's your comment. For those of you that are just tuning in, feel free to do that. We love to be very interactive with you. Comment now or when you watch this later. So and I never, ever, ever want you to have that crushing news that you or a dear loved one has cancer. I'll never forget. And again, why is he being so descriptive? Because there are so many pivotal moments that happen that you'll never, ever forget. You remember exactly where you were, the song that was playing, the street that you were on, again, when you're telling this story. And then there's other things that we don't need in our lives that go away, but it's those moments. So again, not only are we saying he's here to give you some inspiration and hope, but they don't have just one. They have 3 children. Many of the things going through his head that kept him going through those treatments for 3.5 years were, I want to be around to walk my son to kindergarten. You also tell a story about how when you walk Freddie, that tears just, it's overwhelming to you because it's all the thing. This is the moment I need you to listen to. It is seeing the grass a different way. It is looking at a tree. It's listening to the birds. It's being ever so aware and present because you are here and you are blessed with the breath in your lungs and another day on earth and another day on earth. And then what do you do with all of that? The blessings that are bestowed upon you. Do you still do that? Do you still walk out and get overwhelmed with emotion?
I do. I do. Yeah. There's a couple things that, so when I was in the hospital for my initial stay, I was up on the 16th floor. I had a great view, Lake Michigan, Northwestern Memorial Hospital, a couple blocks from the lake. And so I was up on the 16th floor, private room, isolation room, and great view. And I wasn't sure if I would ever smell fresh air again. I was not allowed to leave the floor. I could leave the room because they wanted us, my other leukemia and lymphoma friends on the 16th floor, they wanted us to get our steps in. And so we would do laps with our pole, of course. And so if we went out in the hallway, it was mask, gloves, pole, and then we could do laps. And so and they had a stationary bike in one of the rooms. And so early on, I'm like, I'm going to hammer the bike every day and blah, blah. And so I quickly learned that it was not a tailgating party, right? Like I had my Michigan flag flying. I don't think I watched a second of football in 42 days. It turned the other way very quickly.
Yeah.
And so I would continue to get my steps. There was a gentleman who I met. He was in the room next to me, and he had A.L.L, acute myeloid leukemia, and his name is Bill. And Bill passed away, but he was an inspiration to me. He was probably in his 60s, in mid 60s. So A.L.L peaks again a little bit later in life. As far as how common it is. And so, but he had A.M.L, so different type, but in the leukemia family, in the acute leukemia family. So for the leukemias, there's acute and chronic. So there's A.M.L and A.L.L, acute myeloid leukemia, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and then there's C.M.L and C.L.L, so chronic myeloid, chronic lymphoblastic. They say that the acutes are something that you die from. The chronics are something you die with, if that makes sense. So that's an easy way to remember those and how they teach it in school and stuff like that. So the acute leukemias are something you die from. The chronic are something you die with. And so a lot of people who have the CMLs and the CLLs, they manage that for decades, fortunately, knock on wood.
Right.
The acute's less favorable. And so Bill had an acute. He owned multiple car dealerships in Chicago. His wife she was always by his side. And Bill would walk by, and of course, everybody on the floor knew Whitney because she was coming every day and she was starting to show. And so Bill was someone who, I'd see him walking laps, and he was just so positive. And I'd walk by his room, and he wasn't in an isolation room as much as me, where the double doors are. So he would have his door open, and he'd be on the phone, And he's walking around his room. He's checking in on, he owned a bunch of Chevy dealerships. And so he's checking in on the dealership. I'd hear him talking business. I'm good, man. I'm going to see you guys in a couple weeks. Yep. And he didn't make it. But he would always, when we would do our laps, he's like, keep going, man. You're doing great. Got to meet that kid. Got to meet that kid, brother.
Yep.
Got to meet that kid. And he was just so positive. Like, if 66-year-old or 60 Bill can do this, like, I'm doing it.
Do this. Yeah.
Right. And so he was just like so positive and so amazing.
Which is what you need around you, right? You gain strength from so many levels. Well, rest in peace to him. But again, when we talk about all the layers, and I recently had former enforcer Tony Twist on the show, and Tony and I sat and talked about our dear friend Kelly Chase. And he's like, Monica, I don't know. I don't know that I could do it. So Marty was saying earlier about the mental toughness that you have to go through when your body shuts down. Any of us as athletes, we know that our body will give up, but when your mind gives up, that's it. This has to stay strong. That's why, I'm big into the triangle of life theory. So you got to keep that mental strong, the spiritual strong, the body, move it, understand what you can do with it. I mean, look at these pictures. And so I wore purple on purpose today because of Leukemia Lymphoma Society, for my father, for my brother who went through Hodgkin's and testicular cancer, for other dear friends of mine. It's running in their honor, hiking in their honor. You did a 100-mile bike ride, the Century Rides in their honor. There's beautiful things that take place, by the way, with Team in Training. I'm a big fan of them.
Team.
Yes, exactly. And I want to do more. In fact, I think my next one, because I want that Triple Crown, will be, I don't know whether maybe it's the Century Ride or anything else that they've come up with, but I've done a half marathon with my mom in honor of my father. I did a hike in honor of my brother. Now the third one will be in your honor. So what other events does Team in Training have? I know they have the runs. I know they have a triathlon.
They do.
That's it. That's what I'll do for you, because I was training for that and I had to back off because I had a heart condition that I didn't know about. And so I had to back off that triathlon, but I've always wanted to come back to it. So how about I do that in your honor? That
would be amazing. I would do it. I can't swim. So I can get around, but I'm being dead serious. All my buddies know this. I mastered the doggy paddle. And so for so many years, I'm like, I want to do a try. And so through Team in Training, LLS, there was a point a handful of years ago, man, I was done treatment, but just finishing up, and they were giving out bibs to Ironman, the World Championships in Hawaii. I'm like, I'm in. And I had done a few Chicago marathons and one New York with Team in Training. And so I was on their radar because I'm fortunate to raise a lot of funds. Right. And so I'm sure they had me highlighted, like, this guy, this guy has a bunch of like hockey buddies throw money at this guy. Yeah. And so I'm like, let's do Ironman. Like, how cool would that be? So they're going through the whole process. I came up with my friend Catherine, who is, was on LLS's executive team, came up with a business plan, spreadsheet, presentations to the higher up people trying to get one of these bibs. I think they had 5. And at the last minute, they lost all their bibs. So I was like a month away from getting a bib. Really? And we're talking, Catherine and I, coming up with this plan, business presentation, potential donors, presentations to groups. It was the most work I've ever done in my life. And it was for something like a passion project, right? And she's like, this is amazing. Who's going to be your coaches? You need a triathlon coach. And I was like, okay, I can figure that out. And I said, one thing, Catherine, I can't really swim. And she's like, what?
That's going to be a problem.
There's like a 2.2 mile swim. And I was like, yeah, but it's like 6 months away. She's like, this is like the elite. Like, this is a world championships. Right. You're going to doggy paddle? I'm like, if I have to. And that was always my mindset. Like, yeah, I'll figure it out. And even the marathon, the first one I did, the first 2, I was right in the middle of treatment. And so I was still trying to learn my footing.
Yeah, because you have neuropathy.
Because I can't feel my feet. And so I walked, for I think 2 or 3 of my first marathons. And people were like, how long is that going to take you? I don't know. Like, I think based on my training, walking around the neighborhood nonstop, this guy has a problem. Like, he roams the neighborhood. And I'm like, have my map on my phone, like dialing in my miles. And so I kind of knew my pace walking. And I said, I don't know if I can extend this over the course of 26.2. And especially because I was getting chemo every day.
Yeah.
And so I got the green light from my medical team. Whitney was like, you can't do this. Jessica will never sign off on this. Jessica, my oncologist. And I said, if Dr. Altman gives me the green light,
I'm doing this.
can I do this? And she was like, yeah, sure. Thinking like there's
Yeah,
no
he won't-
way.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way he'll get the green light. And so I got the green light. And so then I again, just like dial focus. I printed out calendars, and it was like the end of July for the October marathon, second weekend of October, Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. We're weird. We have like a separate Thanksgiving. And so it all started. I had a meltdown driving home from the hospital one day and called Whitney. I would always go once Clark was born. I'm jumping around here, but Clark was born February 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, Whitney would drive me to and from every day. Once Clark was born, I'm like, I'm going by myself. Like, switch one. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. Are you okay to drive? I'll figure it out. So I'd like drive around my neighborhood because you have like this chemo brain.
Yeah.
Right? Like this fog and working the pedal and the brake with my feet because I can't really feel my feet. And so I'm like cruising around the neighborhood. And I'm like, should have had like
Who's this guy?
the roof, like, get your kids off the street. This guy can't feel the brake. And so we're like cruising
Why is
around.
he on our front yard?
Yeah. Cruising around the neighborhood. And I'm like, babe, I got this. I can drive myself down, which sounds so bizarre.
It doesn't.
But I'm like, okay, it's like
learning a life again.
yeah, baby steps of like putting the piece back together. And so I just had a meltdown driving home. I called Whitney. I'm sobbing. I'm like, I'm so sick and tired of everybody telling me what I can do, what I can't do. You need to do this. You need to come here at 7 a.m. for labs, and then you're going to get chemo from 8 to 10, and then we're going to check your liver numbers, and then you need to go to respiratory, and then you do this, and then I drive home at 3 in the afternoon. I'm like, what a day. Same thing the next day.
Right. Hamster wheel.
Same thing the next day. And I'm like, okay. So I'd had enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm going to do the marathon. And she's like, I know, babe. Like, that's awesome. And I'm like, I'm going to do Chicago Marathon. She's like, I know. I know it's going to be great. And I said, this October.
And
she's
handful
like,
of months.
wait, what? And I said, I'm going to do it in October. I'm so effing sick of all of this.
Yep.
I'm so sick of it.
That you wanted to transfer all your energy into the
and this is
training
like
for that?
probably a year and a half in. And I still had 2 years to
years.
go. I'm like, I'm just so effing sick of this. And she's like, just come home, take a shower, like relax. And so that night I emailed someone from LLS and I said, I know that the bibs are already gone. Gave a quick paragraph of the story. I'm in the middle of treatment. I hate this disease. You give me a fundraising minimum, I'll double it.
Oh, yeah.
You give me a number and I'll hit it if you can please get me a bib. So Jen Taggart from LLS is the person that finally responded to my email. I sent it to like info@lls.org with like this heartfelt message. Like some guy read it. He's like, who is this guy? So he passed it along. Fortunately, it ended up in this woman's inbox in New York. I got a random phone call. I'm at the hospital sitting in my lazy boy getting chemo. And she's like, this is Jen Taggart from LLS. I read your email. Like, I'm crying. We will get you a bib. And I was like, oh.
Falling in the right hands.
Yeah, I'm like, sweet. What do I need to do? She's like, well, there's a fundraising minimum. I said, no worries. I got it. And so I like typed up a page and sent it out. And like so many people in our life are so supportive and generous. So raised a ton of money. And it was amazing. So that was the first one I walked. My goal of that marathon was to stay in front of the street cleaner. So, and that's what they say. So the street cleaner, it's, a bunch of city trucks.
Yeah.
That have the big brushes, and they're picking up all the garbage because the marathon, you drink Gatorade, throw the cup on the ground.
Right.
And all these stations and people are going to the bathroom on the road. It's a mess.
Yep.
Literally.
But you have to get off the road in a certain amount of time. And it's probably in your head. I've got to beat this.
I think the cleaning trucks are at like a 7:10, 7:15 hour, 7 hours, 15 minute pace.
Yeah.
and they bring up the rear. I'm like, so I'd be cruising, I'm like power walking. I'd be looking over, I'm like, damn it, that truck's gaining on me. So I like pick up the speed and I'm like, oh, I got a couple blocks on this truck. And so I beat the truck. My first time, I think, was like 6 hours, 55 minutes.
Mhm.
And then somewhere, the first couple were that. And then I'm like, I'm going to try and jog. And so, and I hadn't jogged since because I was still trying to like gain my footing. And so we have, just a quick story. I'm all over the place here, but across the street from our church, there's a turf field because there's a school that's attached to the church. And so there's a turf field. I'm like, I'm going to go there. And I had Clark with me in the running stroller. And so I'm like, I'm going to go there and try and like jog a little bit. And if I fall, it's turf.
Mhm.
So no big deal. So I'm going to go. And so Clark's like strapped into the stroller. I don't even know if he could walk yet or not. My timing's off, but he was in the double bob running stroller. And so I started to run, try and jog, and I kept like stumbling and falling. And there's a play gym probably 50 yards on the other side of this turf. And I looked over, there's a guy and his kids playing on the thing. And so I keep trying, and finally, and I'm not getting too far because Clark's in the stroller. I'm staying kind of close, and I finally fall, and I'm on my knees. I'm just sobbing. And I feel like a pat on my shoulder. And I look up, and there's this guy who had walked across the field from the play gym. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I think I laughed. I'm like, "Do you think I am?" Like, and he's like, "Are you okay, man?" I'm like sobbing. And it's July or August. It's hot outside. So I'm like sweating. My kid's in the stroller next to me. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to be okay." And he said, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I think so." And he just like gave me a hug.
Hmm.
He just like grabbed me and gave me a hug. And he's like, "I'm Neil." And I was like, "I'm Marty." And he gave me a hug again. And he's like, "I don't know if you need my help or not. I'm going to be over on the play gym with my kids. And if you need something, just come on over there. I can help you out." And I was like, "Thank you." I have never seen this guy ever again. We live in a small town. And you see the same people at the park and
Yep.
at church and at school pick up and drop off and at the Starbucks and community center and all this stuff. I've never seen this guy ever again, ever in my life.
So these are the moments of God winks.
And I think the ironic thing or unique thing is he was, this is bizarre, but he was kneeling down next to me, which is very common in some faiths. You kneel down. And so he's kneeling down next to me, like patting me on the back, and his name is Neil.
No.
Right? Isn't that weird?
That is. Well, it's also, obviously, as you know, what I always say at the end of every show, which we're not doing yet, by the way, but it's to be kind. The kindness of strangers, going back to that, getting out of your own way, being aware of what's around you. That's all you can ask in life. And I think those are the moments that God says, "I got you, and I'm going to put somebody in your life. You're never going to see that person again, but I'm going to put them in your life, and they're going to help you with this," which is the faith side. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. I want to tell this story about a lot of you, and I ran into a lot of people, by the way. Thank you for coming out to the big event over the weekend. A lot of people that ran into me that were like, "Oh, I miss you on Channel 5, or I miss you on Channel 2, or I miss this or miss that." And I'm like, but you can watch me every morning now, and much more positivity and hope. And we've got you, right? We got this. And they were like, "Where?" And I told them where they could watch. And it was interesting because I said, there's so much of that past life that seems almost foreign to me, that I don't even feel like that I did it. But I laughed when he told me the story about him being interviewed on TV and how it played out. And I was like, yep. But then there's another funny part of that. We're going to tell you that story. We're also going to tell you about his charity. I want to show you a couple of videos. And there is a really beautiful moment of Brushes with Cancer. that I just think was just mind-blowing to me when I saw all that play out. So we'll show you that. We'll talk about his charity, the faith aspect, and then this hilarious story again from a TV standpoint. So we're going to show you that. I think I've got somebody else directing behind the wheel. Yep, good. Hayden, take us to break. We'll be right back.
This lady got me in the best shape of my life. I literally didn't know that I could be in shape like that. But the amount that she pours into her clients, and especially whenever you get the one-on-one training, it's mind-blowing. I mean, it was really life-changing. I learned so much about proper form, about nutrition, about just being able to invest in myself. I hired Monica to be my personal trainer, which was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
So when I was first diagnosed, one of the first people that I called, and he came to see me in the hospital right away, and then since then he's been with me every day of the journey. And whenever we would talk or email or text, he would always finish it off with, "Don't worry, buddy, we got this."
And so it's an honor to be standing here with him, healthy, in remission, saying that we really do got this. And this really turned into my brushes with cancer, because I feel like we went through this journey together. So it wasn't just telling Marty's story, it was telling our story and how we dealt with it. And as Marty said, that phrase, "we got this," whatever it was, whatever it meant, it kind of was a way that said that we're doing this together. And I'm not letting him fight this alone.
For as long as I know this guy, that will be our phrase.
Powerful, right? We got this. And all those words that are within it, and some I'm not going to say, but it's the F word. But F cancer, am I right? I've said it. When we had Kelly Chase on, we said it about a year and a half ago. Twister and I saying, Twister like, I don't know if I could do it. But it's also that toughness of a hockey player. And sometimes, we've asked Kelly, do you think that you would make it through this? Do you think you would make it through it if you weren't an athlete? That mental toughness inside, that physical toughness, I think is needed sometimes. And we're going to wrap it up here in about 10 minutes or so. But there's so much more that I could do a continuing series with him about how he approached many aspects of his 3.5 years of treatment, those 42 days in the hospital of, I'm going to treat this like a 7-game stretch of the Stanley Cup playoffs, right? And what your mind goes through. Also the keep it simple, stupid, or keep it simple, silly mentality. Fun guy, Linda says. Stephanie says, blessings to you and your family. The hockey family sticks together. We took the train from Windsor to Toronto for our convention. Driving into Canada, my husband drove through the border stop. All right, Stephanie. Awesome show, Diane says. Blessings to this great man and to you for asking him to share his story. I love this guy. You're going to love this. Rose said, I wish I could have him for my dentist.
Yes.
Then she said, sorry to Dr. Kaufman from Sunset Dental. Julia, as a cancer warrior, I understand the pain of everyday frustration. I'm fighting the good fight and will not be in remission. Cancer sucks. Julia, prayers going out to you. Okay. So the toughness that we got this, before we tell this story about the interview that he did, the Windsor Tough part, let's talk about the charity and how we as a community can help.
Sure. Thank you. So yeah, that became our motto throughout. Windsor Tough had some buddies that, were texting, they would joke but not joke, like, but we're from Windsor. Like we got this. We played hockey. We're from a blue collar area. You got this. Like you're Windsor Tough, man. You're Windsor Tough. You're Windsor. So that became throughout the years, kind of our motto. And you saw that picture of our kids with the little Windsor Tough things on. That was years before this charity ever started. It's
Right.
only a year in, but that was our motto throughout treatment. And so buddies printed up T-shirts and wristbands and all that stuff. And so then we wanted to start a charity. How can we pay it forward? How can we give back? And something that always came up, and I had other people tell me this, whenever we talk to you, it always ends up going here. And so I was like, well, that's the purpose of our charity then.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a fork in the road in my treatment, where a lot of people who have a blood cancer, if you're not responding to chemotherapy, you need a stem cell transplant
Mm-hmm.
or bone marrow transplant. And so that can be a challenge for some people. It's really like finding a needle in a haystack. So when you donate blood, and if you need to receive blood products, it's not as specific as a stem cell transplant. And so there's only a few different types of blood. So if you're A, you match with A, and it's not as challenging. And people that are going through treatments, donating blood is incredible. So I would ask or urge anyone, if you're inclined to do that, that's what keeps the wheel spinning. Because throughout treatment, the first thing you do when you go in the morning, you get your labs taken, which means they draw blood and they just see where your values are. And if your values are too low, then they give you blood products, take your labs in an hour, and then get the new results. So you're consistently getting blood transfusions 5 to 10 times a day. And so blood products are extremely important. That's just an urge to people. But donating stem cells, it's very specific. And so how you can get added to this registry, it's global, international. You can swab your cheek, and they take.
You have swab parties.
We do. We have swab parties. Yeah, swab events.
Swab events. Have we had one in St. Louis?
No, we've not.
Well,
no.
then we're going to have you come back and have a swab event.
The Lou, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And so you can swab your cheek, little Q-tips, super easy. Swab your cheek. They take your DNA from your cheek cells, and they find the specific DNA. You get plugged into this computer, and you can be matched with someone anywhere on the planet. And so we had a fork in the road. Initially, I wasn't responding to treatment very well when I was in the hospital. And then when I was let out initially, I was still back there every day for chemo, and things weren't going perfectly. And so we had the conversations about needing a stem cell transplant. Let's kind of get those ducks in a row if we need it. Patients, their best bet is a family member. My siblings both swabbed their cheek or gave blood. They were not a match. And so then they go to this international registry. There was a guy, you don't know any details, it's anonymous, but there was a guy in Germany who, if I needed one, he was probably going to be my guy. And he was a 28-year-old guy in Germany. That's all they tell you. If you go on the NMDP website or Be the Match and you see some of these meetings where people meet the person who gave them a second chance at life, it is the most powerful,
emotional
video that you can ever watch.
NMDP. Right?
NMDP, yeah. It used to be the Match. Now it's NMDP, National Marrow Donor Program.
So we're going to drop that in for you.
Wonderful.
And we'll drop in his website, which we've been showing you, by the way, as far as that Windsor Tough, because literally it can be that a kit is sent to your house, you swab your cheek, and you send it off.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Super easy. So on our website, we have, we really try and simplify it because the KISS principle, right? So if you live in Canada, click on the Canadian flag. If you live in the U.S.,
Keep it simple.
I'm not joking. Click on the U.S. flag. It brings you to the website. It'll ask you, are you between the ages of 18 and 35?
Okay.
That's a window. If the answer is, you check yes, then it'll take you down there. If the answer is no, it will tell you other ways that you can help, because the prime target population is 18 to 35 because those people have the most healthy stem cells, if you will.
Okay.
So you want to try and take those from the healthiest patient population. Sure. Usually that's 18 to 35. And so that's the requirement if you want to join. So we have partnerships with NMDP, formerly Be the Match in the US, and Canadian Blood Services in Canada. So we do some swab events in Canada as well. And so if you punch in your information, they will send you an envelope to your house. It has 2 Q-tips in it. You swab the right cheek for 10 seconds, left cheek for 10 seconds, put it in the envelope, no postage required, drop it in the mailbox. You're on the international registry.
WindsorTough.org. All right, I've got a 20-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 17-year-old in my internship program. And we also have a 25-year-old directing my show. We're all going to swab and turn that in. I want you all too. Can we just collectively, because I know you as a community of this show, you are very big in helping in any way that you can. So WindsorTough.org, I want you to go to that. Let's get these kits. Let's help them out. Let's bring them back so that we can do an event here. Okay, again, you're just going to have to come back on because we have so much more that we want to talk about. Let me. I do want you guys to laugh. So we'll laugh at the end about the story. But where you are now, first of all, how is everything? And like, what are they saying for your future?
So I'm cancer-free right now.
Can we all clap for them, please?
Thank you.
At home and here.
Thank you. So they monitor me very closely because of some of those prognostic indicators.
Right.
initially. And so I still get bone marrow biopsies every 6 months.
Okay.
I had one 2 weeks ago, 2 Mondays ago. Results came back clean, cancer-free. So again, I go for checkups. They draw my blood. Everything has been great, knock on wood. And then every 6 months we do bone marrow biopsies. That's the most detailed test that they can do to hopefully, if it does come back, because the bucket that I fell in, chance of relapse was extremely high.
Yeah. And
so, they're just keeping a close eye on me, which is wonderful. My medical team, I literally owe my life to them. They've become dear friends of mine. They're incredible, and they treated me like a family member from day one. And that's, I think, all you can ask as a patient.
Absolutely. And so that they're there for you, the doctors and nurses, everybody, your hospital staff, we are very blessed. He was talking about the hospitals. For those of us in St. Louis, we know just how blessed we are with Barnes and WashU and the physicians here and all that's learned here that goes all over the world to help no matter where that patient is. So when you have that in your head of, will I relapse? Will this come back? There are many things that he has said in other interviews, which is, okay, so I was able to be there to walk Clark to school. I'm able to be here, and Freddie and I are out on these walks. I want to watch Phoebe grow up, and Shaw. I want to be there to walk Phoebe down the aisle. All those things are going to obviously be in your head. How did your life change in your personal growth? What do you feel your why is right here and now?
To be first and foremost a leader in my home, and just do that by things I do and things I say. And sometimes it's tough, if I'm being honest, because, Clark's our oldest, he's 8, Phoebe's 6, and Shaw is going to be 4. And the thing that's in the back of my brain all the time is, do you remember anything when you were 4? And that's what I try and not I try, but your brain can play tricks on you. And so when I try to think of what do I remember when I was 4, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So if something turns south for me, Shaw probably won't remember me. Where I think Clark will, because I can kind of remember things when I'm 8. But when I'm 4, no. And so I want to get to that point.
Yeah.
Right, where all of them will remember me, and I hope it's for 40 years, right? That's my hope, and that's my goal and expectation. But your brain plays tricks on you. But I also have kind of learned that you don't have to believe everything you think.
Yep.
Right. So you can think stuff, but you don't have to believe it. And so I think I've learned to do that. And again, just like take it day by day. Enjoy, it sounds so cliche and cheesy, but like enjoy the little things. And that's what I've really learned to do. And it's a challenge in our world today. Right. And a lot of people are trying to keep up with the Joneses and do this and do that. And with social media, which is why I stay off of it.
I applaud you for that.
And just focus. We always say, like, take care of 341. That's our address. 341 Rosewood. Take care of 341. Take care of 341.
Take care of 341, God. Has your faith leveled up?
Big time. Big time. Yeah. And so many times where I didn't know what to do, I prayed. And there were times where, we had a priest come, Father James, plug for Father James. Father Jamie came to see me in the hospital. You know things aren't good when your priest is coming to visit you in the hospital, right? But he came to visit me in that initial stretch, and he's baptized all of our kids, and we have a routine where we see him. There he is right there, one of the best human beings that I know. He is on our bone marrow biopsy schedule because we go visit him leading up to it. And we say special, he blesses me leading up to the bone marrow biopsy. And being a hockey player and superstitious, for me, it was like left side of the gear goes on first. And I have a half of a Diet Coke and a granola bar in between the first and second period. And so we stick with tradition, knock on wood, because results have been good. So we're like, Father James, December, book it in your calendar, Sunday before, we'll come to see you. And he brings out his special stuff and gives us a blessing. So along the way, and even now, when I don't know what to do, I pray. I pray. And sometimes that's just having a conversation, as if I'm talking to a buddy.
And
I
he
think,
answers if you don't believe
yeah,
he will.
and there's no, again, I don't think there's a right and wrong way to do it.
No.
If sometimes for me, again, being superstitious, I have a routine that I follow, and it's a certain number of Hail Marys and Our Fathers, but other times it's a conversation, of things I'm worried about. Can you please watch over these people? Can you please make sure that you take care of Whitney? I know bone marrow biopsy week. It's like Shark Week, right? Like, bone marrow biopsy week. We got this.
Oh my God.
That is very stressful for both of us.
Yeah.
And so I just ask him to watch over her, right? And not let her mind go to crazy places.
Yeah.
And so it's been the only way, I think. Yeah.
And I wanted you to hear that, folks, because there's a lot of people that would do the exact opposite. Instead of leaning in on him more, they would turn away and say, why me? But again, and you have to do you. We're not saying at all that the way, maybe you fall off your path. I hope you come back, because again, I can't imagine a life without faith, which we do at the end of the show. So this is how we're going to wrap up. We're going to do our devotional, and I'm going to have him tell this funny story about what happened in a TV interview that he did. So I'm going to let you choose. These are 100 Days to Freedom books.
Okay.
We read this at the end of every show. So 100 Days to Freedom from anger.
Okay.
I want to see what you're feeling that you and the world needs to hear. From fear and anxiety. Overeating doesn't fit today. From shame or depression. What do you think we need freedom from? And you as well.
Fear and anxiety.
See? What did I tell you, my interns? This is the one that gets chosen the most. It's double the amount from the other ones. So we're going to wrap up the show. We're going to read that. We'll tell this funny story. And again, we're going to give you that website of how you can help out. A simple swab of your cheek and the magnitude of what that can do for those that need your help. Don't go anywhere. We'll wrap up here on The Real Monica Adams Show.
When you want to feel good, you work out at Crunch. You don't go here, because here feels bad. But here we help you feel good, feel strong, feel rejuvenated.
Join Crunch Fitness today.
Carroll House has the furniture you're dreaming of.
For big family gatherings, for entertaining friends, or just hanging out.
For working from home or resting after work.
For kids growing up, or young adults moving out.
Whether you're updating your first home, your next home, or your dream home.
Whatever the reason you're shopping, we have the furniture you're dreaming of at Carroll House.
Because you like nice things.
And welcome back again, The Real Monica Adams Show, as we bring it home. Again, we've been talking about a story of hope, and I just want to put some of this in here for you to go back and remember. 42 nights in the hospital for the first time. Again, friends, hockey buddies, family, we got this. The wins are tough aspect that was there. Again, all these little things that I'm telling you about, that God had his hand in this. It was there on his children's shirts. And then it became, hey, this is what we're going to call this charity, windsortough.org. 15% survival rate for males between the age of 30 and 40. And what I wrote here for him to understand is you are defying the odds, right? This, by the way, God had his hand in, because we were going to do this back in March, but this is National Cancer Survivors Month. Don't you think that's eerie? I mean, again, I'm getting chills and getting emotional that God said, nope, I'm going to bring him in then. You're going to have him come in during that. For all of you, I don't want you to feel alone. Don't go at this alone. But when you are alone, it's those moments of, I hope you lean in on prayer. So this is the devotional we're going to give you, and then we're going to make you laugh. We're going to leave you with a little laughter before we wrap up. So day 69, it's called Balance. One of the biggest things that I ask for all of you to do. People that want to know what are the books that I read from, it's 100 Days to Freedom from, and Marty picked Fear and Anxiety. So we are oppressed on every side by troubles, but we are not crushed. We are perplexed, but not driven to despair. We are hunted down, but never abandoned by God. We get knocked down, but we are not destroyed. That is 2 Corinthians 4, verses 8 through 9. Are you a catastrophic thinker? Do you usually expect the worst? To some extent, this may be because your experience or training have given you insight. You can see the potential danger in a situation. Your perspective tends to be negative, but your rationale is that bad things do happen, so it's better to be prepared. Remember, he was talking about his friend in the hospital, that positive side. How do we accept news? Is it crushing negativity, or is it hope, hope, hope? The downside of this mindset is that negativity affects you in other ways. It can keep you from experiencing life in the moment as you are forever looking towards what could happen. However, there's good that can come from your insight and knowledge. Put it to good use. It can help your family and make the world a better place. Balance is the key. As you consider what could go wrong, also consider what good things could happen. Best case scenarios can provide the inspiration for solutions. This passage, by the way, is an example of balance. The Apostle Paul is sharing that we will experience worst case scenarios in this life. He told that story an hour ago. This could happen, and here's the worst case scenario. And unfortunately, he had the worst case scenario, but here he is. God grabbed his hand and took him forward. We will never be abandoned by God. If you find yourself out of balance thinking only of the worst case scenario, spend time thinking about what good could come out of the situation that is on your mind. God will provide strength and courage as you consider the best that could happen in any situation. Vision is the ability to see God's presence, to perceive God's power, to focus on God's plan in spite of the obstacles. So here's your prayer. Lord, help me to know you're working in all things. Help me to view the world I live in through the eyes, your eyes, and know that you will be with me even in the worst situations. Help me to see the good in each day and the good in your purpose. Amen to that. That was very fitting of what we discussed today, as it always seems to be. Okay, so he's had a handful of interviews about his story. I couldn't wait for him to come in and tell this one and not be kept to a 2 or 3 minute window, which is what the TV crews unfortunately have to do. I mean, it's not on the reporter and the anchor, it's the network and the producers and all that. So you had an interview. Tell us what happened that day.
Okay.
Get ready to laugh.
Yeah, there's Dr. Pierman, one of my dearest friend, so he's part of my medical team. So we were asked to go, Dr. Pierman was asked to go on a morning show and was asked to bring a patient if he liked or if he had someone in mind. So he texted me, hey, I'm doing this on this day. Would you like to join? I said, Tim, of course. Like, I'm honored. I would love to. What are we going to talk about? Don't really know, but it's on this date and this time. Okay, sounds good. So someone reaches out, share a couple photos similar to what I did for prep for this, and the days leading up, and they give me the address. And so I'm driving down there early in the morning. It's downtown Chicago. Go into, the GPS brings me to this alley, and there's like a garage door. And they said, okay, when you pull up to the garage door, like buzz it and tell them your name, and they'll let you in. Okay, sounds good. So I get to the thing. It's still dark out. It's very early in the morning. So I get there, buzz the thing. No one says a word, just door opens. Okay. So I find a parking spot. I look in the rearview mirror. There's a guy like waiting in the parking garage, like underground, right near the little door where the elevator is. So I said, hey, good morning. I'm Marty. He nods.
Yep.
Said, am I going with you? And I'm like, Whitney's like, you keep me posted. I'm like trying to text, no service in the garage. So I'm like, I told her, I think, like, if you don't hear anything by this time, like, send the hounds in, right? And so I follow this. Yeah, I follow this guy, and he like says good morning to me. We're in the elevator, and it's early, so we pop up, and he said, I'm going to put you in the green room, and you'll be able to watch the news on the TV, and there's a clock, and you're going to go on around this time. Gives me a window, between 8 and 8:10.
Yeah.
I said, okay, sounds good. So I'm in the green room, and there's a bathroom off to the side, and there's a little Keurig machine and like some bananas and apples. And so I'm like watching the news, and they're talking about different events and weather and traffic and, sports. It's getting closer to 8, so I'm like getting a little bit nervous, and I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So, and I was drinking a bunch of water because I don't want to be nervous. My mouth is dry, so I'm like guzzling water. And so I go into the bathroom, and I blow my nose. And I go, just to clarify, I go pee.
Yes, he wants to straight sense. It's not number 2.
I go pee. And so they said, do not exit the green room. If you walk out the hallway and like right there, it's live.
You'll go on set.
So do not be quiet. Don't come out of the green room. If there's an emergency, like you hit that button in the bathroom. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So blow my nose, go pee. And I flush.
And this is important.
I flush, and the toilet starts to rise. I'm like, oh no. So I'm watching the water like come up, and I'm like, and Tim, my doctor, is not there yet because he was texting me. He's like, hey, run a little bit late, but I'll meet you in the green room. I'm like, we're on 15 minutes. The water's coming up, and the water starts to pour over. And it's like the bathroom is tile floor. So water's pouring out of the toilet with my pee in it. And I'm like, what do I do?
Interns are cracking
And
up.
I'm like, I can't go out the door because the guy said, don't come out the door or else you're live. I don't know if we're live or not, but he told me not to go out the door. Hit the button in case of emergency. I'm like, I think this is an emergency. So I'm like, yeah, so the bathroom's like continuing, water's just pouring out. I'm like sloshing around in my shoes. So I hit the button and he comes in and he's like, yes, is everything okay? I said, I'm okay, but that. And he goes, are you kidding me? And he closes the door. So I'm like, okay. And there's like a handful of paper towels, like a stack like that big. I would put the thing in, it would just be covered, right? So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like flipping the switch on the toilet and I'm trying to like do. So then two people come back with him from like the cleaning crew and they have a plunger and he doesn't say a word to me. He just gives me like the most disappointed look ever. Like just looks like you did this right now and my shoes are wet. Right? I'm about to go on and I'm nervous and my shoes are wet. So I'm like, I'm going to walk out onto the news with wet shoes, which is my pee. It's water and it's my pee. Whatever, right? I'm like, I've been through worse.
Exactly.
And so they clean up. My doctor comes in, Dr. Pierman. He's like, hey, what's going on?
What's wrong with your feet?
All good, no worries. So him and I go out there, and it was very chaotic.
Yeah. Listen to this.
It was wonderful people there. It was a great experience. They allowed us to speak. Tim was the pilot. I was the co-pilot. Chimed in a little bit, but there was no instruction or direction. There were a million cameras in front of us. All we could see was lights, and we're sitting there. And they said that little sticker on the desk where everyone's sitting. Line your belly button up with the sticker and look straight ahead. Okay, I can do that. Where do I put my hands? I don't really know. On the desk.
No one knows what to do with their hands.
But don't touch the desk. I'm like, I don't have a water. What do I do? So I'm like staying there. And all I can think about is like my belly button. So I'm like doing this the whole time. I'm like moving a little bit. I'm like, is the table moving or am I moving? So I'm trying to line my belly button up. And we got through it. It was a great experience, but the first time I'd ever done that. And it was live. And, it was on a morning news segment in Chicago, like that a lot of people watch. And I'm like, we literally showed up, we got stuffed in the green room, no instruction, and they pulled us out and they're like, okay, you've got 90 seconds. We see the countdown and there's people yelling at people and doing different things. And the prompter, you're typing the wrong thing in the prompter.
Look,
and
I want everyone to understand this because this is what took place. And I stressed this to my director that he is calm, cool, collected. Whatever happens, I was like, you will be a great director and you will change the course of history because typically there are a lot of mother F and FFF bombs like crazy. And you're just like, oh my gosh, but that should never be shown in front of a guest. But that was. They're in a break and he's like F-bombing to the guy with the teleprompter. And he's like, didn't he say, just read what I F and put in there?
Oh, yeah. They're going back at it. And then they're like, 7, 6, 5. And the guy's like,
and they're nervous. And he's got pee on his shoe.
So-and-so. And I got pee on my shoe. So it was very, very chaotic. Like they brought us around. And again, it was like the countdown and people are yelling. We're like, put your belly button on the sticker and like just dripping sweat and pee on my shoe. And like, I don't think it's on my pants, but maybe it's on my pants. But
they can't see it underneath the desk.
I've been through worse, so it's really not that big of a deal. And so we like got through, I'm like shaking the whole, just dripping sweat. But anyways, it was hilarious. I mean, you look back, you're like, that's a story.
Exactly.
And it's like the whole, Our whole life's just a bunch of stories.
It is.
Right? It's just a bunch of
I wanted to
stories.
save that to the end because I
No.
just wanted to make you all laugh. But that is. So you were not treated that way. We're here, right?
No.
My team did a wonderful job.
Wonderful people
Good.
met me at the door.
And if you had pee on your shoe, we would have put some booties on you.
Fresh coffee and water. You guys have been unbelievable. So thank you very much.
My team. Let me give them a shout out,
It's
by
been
the
a
way.
pleasure.
Zach and Miranda and Gabriel and Hayden, you're all fantastic. And Jenny at home helping out as well. Okay, one more time. WindsorTough.org. I want to make sure that you keep an eye on that website. Get those swab kits. Let's try to have other swab events. If somebody's interested in holding an event, would they find out information on that website also?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
we can help out. NMDP is our partner in the U.S.
Mhm.
They have regional people all over the U.S., literally everywhere. Back in May, we did an event at Brooklyn College out in New York, and the New York person, met us there and a bunch of swab kits and helped out with that. So, anybody who is interested in doing swab event or anything, happy to help out with that. If someone from our group is able to be there in person, that would be wonderful.
Right.
But if not, there's NMDP people all over the United States. They are happy to help out. And the thing, like, we can't stress enough, it takes one,
Yeah.
right? It takes one. And so there's someone laying in a hospital bed somewhere, hoping and praying for a match, and they're not responding to chemo, and a stem cell transplant is their last silver bullet.
Yep.
And so they're hoping and praying, and I was that guy many years ago. Unfortunately, the chemo started working, and that's the only reason why I'm here. For some people, most people, they're not that lucky.
Right.
And so, it takes one person to swab their cheek and join this registry that can save someone's life. And I don't know that there's a bigger impact you can have in your life than saving someone else's life.
That's it.
And it's a needle in a haystack. It's that specific. And so if you match up, it's such an amazing gift that you can give someone, to let them be there for the birth of their kids, be there for the birthday parties, be there for the sporting events and the music recitals and the Saturday morning trip to get donuts and the walk around the block with the dog, like all those things that people are hoping and praying to be able to do.
And don't take for granted all those precious moments, again, that build up and give us this incredible life that we have. Thank you, my friend,
Thank you so much.
for so many reasons, for this incredible story, allowing this show to be able to tell that and to give someone else hope that might be sitting in silence at home. Here he is to provide hope to you, defying the odds. And I want you to be around for a long, long time for all these precious moments to come. Again, WindsorTough.org. We got this for him. Thank you all so much for watching. We're going to turn this into one of our audio podcasts. I'll let you know when that does in fact air. But now you do your job. Take this and share this like crazy with your family, with your friends, with your followers, and give them some hope as well. Tomorrow, by the way, we've got the author of a book called Daddy Don't Go. He understands the importance of fatherhood. If unfortunately you are involved in a divorce, do not leave your children. That's what this is all about. Your presence in their life is paramount. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Another powerful show on tap. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, the greatest thing you can do in life is to believe in yourself, understand that you truly can be anything that you want to be, this mental side that takes over. But the greatest thing that you can be is kind. God bless you.